Hey, beautiful people. Hello. This is 77s once again, coming back at you guys with a follow up video to my control dynamic video as far as the first two. I didn't want to do any, you know, whiteboard or, you know, teaching or any whiteboard stuff. I wanted this to be more of a discussion for the first time. I want to try this out. Okay. Um, but there are some points that I went back and looked at my first two videos and I said some misinformation here and there, but I'm not necessarily worrying about the MBTI scholars because they know what I'm talking about. They got what I'm saying. But just some points that I missed that I wanted to go over. You know, the first one I have here is the fact that I mentioned I don't know anything about psychology. What I meant by that was I don't know anything about like I said, psychology in that's taught in a college or a university. That I don't know. The psychology I know is the MBTI. That is it. 99.9999999% of the time, you will only ever hear me speak MBTI when it comes to psychology. You'll hear a professor in a college talk about, oh, this person's having these issues because of the central cortex in their brain, whatever, blah, 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 blah. I don't know any of that. That's censor stuff. That's censor stuff. They need an actual physical brain to study itself. That's why that stuff is in schools in the first place. The MBTI is more of the internal of a person. It is the psychology of the internal of a person, their soul and their mind. Internally, more on an internal level, or you could say spiritual level. You could say that as well. So that is what I know. That is what I know. That is what my life is. If you can picture, what's that guy's name? Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein in his little basement with his chalk on his chalkboard, going over algebraic equations for hours and hours and hours. I mean, think about it. I mean, the guy came up with the theory of relativity. I mean, come on. I mean, just imagine. You can only imagine how many hours he spent studying on his chalkboard for him to even discover anything like that. The power of NE. But anyway, like I said, what I know is the MBTI, and I have, like I'll say, from March 28th, 2023, to the present moment. Well, maybe not to the present moment. I'll say up until maybe about a good 7, 8 months ago. From March 28th up until that point, a half an hour to 45 minutes minimum every single day studying the MBTI. Every single day. Every single day. Take those hours and compare them to how many hours you need to get a bachelor's degree. You will see how many hours I put in, and you will see how many hours it takes. So, but I will tell you, I have three bachelor's degrees worth of knowledge when it comes to the MBTI. Not just the MBTI, deeper than the MBTI. A vast majority of Carl Jung's work, and Isabella and Catherine, they're the MBTI, but they got all of their information to make the MBTI from Carl Jung's work. So a vast majority of Carl Jung's work is, I'll say, it's my life. It is my life from going forward. Ever since March 28th of 23, it became my life. It will always be my life. So that's what I know. So that was point one. Second point was censor women as a whole make up about, I'll say, about 40% of the 6.5 billion censors. Okay? So, because there's more men than women. Yeah, there's more men than women. So yeah, you could say between 35, I'll say 30, 36 and a half, 37% of the 6.5 billion sensors are the women, of course. So now, I brought that up because if you take intuitives versus sensors, 6.5 billion sensors out of 8.5 billion people, so that leaves 1.5 billion, 2 billion intuitives total. So 6.5 billion sensors, 1.5 to 2 billion intuitives, uh, which goes, like I said, if you take that number, about 37.5%, 36% of the 6.5 billion sensors that are women is about it's over 2.5 billion sensor women, which is over the amount of intuitives, men and women as a whole, on the planet. I hope you got what I just said. The total amount, about the rough estimation of sensor women on the planet is about between 2.5, 2.9 billion people, women. They make up, which is, if you compare them to intuitives as a whole, the intuitives, and I'm talking men and women, I just said is about 1.5 to 2 billion. And I just said the sensor woman is about 2.5 to between 2.5 to 2.9. We'll just say 2.7. So 2.7 billion sensor women. They outnumber intuitives as a whole. So I wanted to bring that up as well. So yeah, and another little tidbit: 1 out of every 4 or 5 women is either an ISFJ or ESFJ. By the way, so as they are the two most common women. So yeah, and yeah, most likely if you're in a relationship across the planet, like I said, 1 out of every 4 women is either an ISFJ or ESFJ. So take that number, and you will most likely, it's a very high number that you're with a ISFJ or ESFJ in a relationship with them. So, okay, and I got my papers, I got my notes here. So if you hear papers rustling, that's me. I'm just checking things out here. So I mean, strictly from the sensor woman, or a woman that has high SE influence, you know, and this I'm going back to, you know, what I said about ESTPs being the most coveted man. The thing is, it's more. There's a couple of ways to kind of explain this. Um, if you look at it, if you look at it, it's more about the SE. Like I said, I brought up shadow SE and the sensor woman. Not talking about ESTPs or ESFPs or ISTPs or ISFPs. I'm not talking about those guys. I'm talking more if you have SE first or second in your shadow, or anywhere in your shadow. So with with this influence, they're going to want a man to take charge, lead, be assertive, be confident, the bravado, the things like that, dominant, etc., etc. The ESTP male is these things instinctually. They're like that instinctually. Okay, that's more of what I was getting at. Okay, and sensor women, like I said, that is it runs through their veins. Let me repeat what I just said. That them, as far as that type of man that I just said, it runs through their veins. Runs through their veins. So a man that has these characteristics is what they're going to gravitate towards. And throw in a six pack and some biceps. Oh, then multiply that times 50 trillion. Because by nature, well, I'll flip that. I'll say it's more about the physical attraction. And now I'm getting into level one of the animus in a center woman. Just like the anima of a man, the first stage is not, it's purely about raw instinctual physical attraction for the other person. That is it. That is it. So when you take that aspect and you put it to a woman's animus, like I said, that in their mind, they're, and again, I'm talking about the intermarriage here. You want to know more about the intermarriage? Go check out my previous videos about the intermarriage. I talk about all this in detail. So if you take that, like I said, the first stage of the animus, just like with the anima, it's all about the physical attraction, the raw physical attraction. So, but when you're a center woman, you have that SE, first or second in your shadow, multiply that times 20 billion. So when a center woman has SE, high SE influence, period, when she sees a man to her liking that is physically attractive, say a football player in the NFL, or a basketball player, or a soccer player, it doesn't matter. Whatever physical, the raw physical attraction, abs, muscles, you name it. Fit, beautiful, attractive, handsome, tall, dark, and handsome, quote unquote, like, women say. It's the first stage of the animus is all about that. All about those types of characteristics. So it's more, what I was saying is more about that, primarily. So having that, then having the take charge, the lead, the assertiveness, the confidence, the dominance, stuff like that. Not taking any crap from anybody, stuff like that. Those type of things make the ESTP the most coveted male in the center world, in the center woman world. So now, of course, any man that exudes these things, a center woman is going to go goo goo gaga over, because they're not going to know what SE influence is versus a grain of sand on the ground, because this is all unconscious. And I'm not saying this is just about center women. I'm talking about women as a whole, intuitives and center women, but not so much for the NF women though. Women that are NFs, as such as the ENFJ or the INFJ. So those two types of women, they're going to be able to somewhat see beyond the external. Well, I hope so. I hope so, because I'm going to have a talk with them. So the thing is, like I said, it's more about the raw instinctual attraction first, and then the man that has these characteristics. I mean, you're a center woman is going to be putty in your hands, such as a professional athlete, a football player, or a basketball, a professional athlete. They have the money, they have the cars, they have everything, and the physical stature and attractiveness. They have the muscles, legs, handsome, whatever it is. They have all these things. And SE is all about the external world, their eyes. The physical, like I said, the animus is all about the raw physical attraction, primarily. So, but it's not just about that, it's about having those characteristics behind that. Like I said, since a woman gets a sense of these characteristics and you're attractive, the muscle, the abs, putty. And don't get me wrong, I'm saying this about censor women. Believe me, it's the same for censor men as well. They see an attractive woman, it's the same. It's the same. Trust me, it's the same. So, I hope I have enough time. I wanted this discussion to kind of be a little faster. So, and another thing, as far as the SE ranking, all the functions are scalable, 1 through 8. First function all the way through the 8th function. So if you're an SE dom, most likely you're going to be in the gym. If you have high SE, it's all about Your body is your meal ticket, such as The Rock, for example. He is an ESTP. How did he get his claim to fame? His physical stature. He was a wrestler. So these types of things matter. So it's more likely if it's a person that has high SE first and second, they're going to be in the gym or doing some type of workout routine in their daily life, whether it's 2 3 days a week or they're gym rats or they live in the gym. They're going to be doing something, or they're going to feel compelled to do something to keep in some type of shape. So, um, but the lower, once you get SE fourth, more fourth and below, fifth in the shadow mainly, those things, your SE takes more of a negative, aspect. It's going to be more about, oh, I want to go have fun. I want to go on a trip. I want to have the best food, watch the best movies, you name it. It's going to be more about those types of things. Shadow SE is not going to feel like working out. Shadow SE is not going to feel like doing any SI related things. Shadow SE does not feel like going to work every day. It just doesn't. So like I said, these types of things, and again, if this is more of your influence, if your shadow is gripping you, which is 99.9% of people. So I guess I'm talking to quite a few people. So, that's more of what I wanted to say about, I wanted to throw that in. And censorness is second nature to censors. you know, I mean, go out in public, do a social experiment. Go out in public with messy clothes, matted shoes, holes in your pants or shirt or whatever, things like that. Watch the eyes that are fixed in on every mess up, every hole, every anything in your appearance. Watch the eyes. You will be astounded. You will be astounded. People, they don't even, when you walk in, they won't even look at you in your eyes. They will look at your clothes, your shoes, socks, whatever they will look at all of that first. They will scan you up and down, like you're going in some kind of vault or something for the Secret Service. They will scan you up and down like that. And trust me, their SE and their shadow is judging you to bits inside. Trust me. Trust me. I know sensors. So, also, I want to throw this in. Third or fourth NE, mainly fourth NE, and I'm saying Nancy Edward, NE. It is the king or queen of excuses. The king or queen of excuses. If you know somebody that gives excuses, every time you catch them in something, every time it's like, oh, well, why didn't you do this? Or why were you late? Or why did you forget? Fourth NE is going to give you a myriad of excuses. Why? Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I didn't wait. The last thing it's going to be is accountable. Fourth NE is the antithesis to accountability. Let me repeat what I just said. Fourth NE is the antithesis to accountability. Hope we heard that. So, anytime, fourth NE will give you a myriad of excuses. It will never be accountable. Unless it just dropped, a piece of candy on the ground. Oh, I'm sorry, I dropped that. Something like that will be accountable. But you want to talk anything deeper? Myriad of excuses. Myriad. So, okay, now I got a disclaimer. The things that I'm talking about are unconscious. Most of the stuff I'm talking about with sensors, people and things like that, these are unconscious things. They don't know that they're doing them. That's why it's called the unconscious mind. The unconscious, you don't realize you're doing it. Just like people don't know they have four sides of their mind, and it's the flick of a light switch, and they're in the other side of their mind, whether it's their shadow, their subconscious, or their super ego, or their ego. Flick of a switch, and it's instant, so subtle. You don't even know. It's unconscious. That's how the unconscious mind works. So now I'm going to talk about awake and deny. You know, and I've talked about awake and deny having a direct line to the collective unconscious. You know, which is definitely true, absolutely. But like I said, that's more for awakened NI, awakened NI. Now, mind you, people have dreams, right? People have dreams. They have deja vu. They have, of course, these things, right? These are all things from the collective unconscious. Deja vu. People go to sleep. How many humans go to sleep? How many humans have dreams? All of us. So dreams, deja vu, these are all things derived from the collective unconscious. But when you're an INFJ or you have high NI, first or second, you have more of a access to the collective unconscious. You will see more things, not just in a dream. You will have intuitions or downloads. Now, the more conscious you are of your NI and the stronger it is, not just it being dominant, I'm talking about even if it's dominant, you can be clueless to your NI. I'm talking somebody like that's awakened and has full consciousness of it is self-aware of themselves and their NI in every single nook and cranny of their consciousness. I'm talking about these people. They have a direct line to the collective unconscious. They do, such as myself. Not to toot my own horn, but like I've told you, 0.0000001% of the entire planet is truly awakened. Truly. I'm one of those. I'm one of those. So, but I said I'm not going to go deeply into all of the aspects of what awakened NI is. I'm going to save that for the exclusive humans that actually do the work on themselves to awaken their NI, to discover for themselves. And when you awaken your NI, then come back to me and let me know. Or, keep it amongst yourself. Whatever you prefer to do. So, I'm into the last part, my last point, and I got 7 minutes left. So, the shadow issues that I've talked about are for unhealthy sensors mainly. That's what I'm mainly talking about. Not for sensors that have, like I said, they have done the inner work. They've worked on themselves internally. They have discovered that the world is not all about the external world. They've discovered that, I need to work on myself. I need to look at myself in the mirror. What's wrong with me? You get it. But again, that is 99.999%. Well, no, that's not very many sensors that do that. The only times that those things usually happen where a sensor thinks on a different plane like that is if there's a heavy traumatic experience in their life, or the death of a loved one, or something like that, or a near-death experience. These are the only types of times that something triggers in their brain to get them to think differently and access that 1% NI they have. So, and I'm saying, and like I said, it's unfortunate, but this is how SI and SE works. You cannot see NI. You can't see it. So a center is going to have a tough time accessing their NI, which again, NI 7th and 8th, like I said, they need somebody to lead them. That's why the censor woman wants a man to lead in the first place. Let me repeat what I just said. 2025 years of history. That is why the censor woman wants a man to lead her, because she has no NI for herself. Now, I'm saying women, also men. Also men. Also men. I know an ISFJ man. 8th NI. I know. ESFJ man. 7th NI. Blind spot. I know. I know the difference between a man that has NI 7th and 8th versus an NI down. Trust me. I know. So, with those things said, like I said, it all depends on the person. The sensor can wake up tomorrow and it could be 100% of them awakening. But like I said, it's very tough for them because of how that SE is that runs through their veins. If they can't see it, they don't believe it. And then on top of that, when an NI comes along and tells them that, they don't believe them. So they remain there, not knowing what NI truly is. So, with that said, that's going to wrap up the discussion I wanted to have. I didn't want it to be 27 minutes. I apologize. But yeah, that's going to be it. Thank you guys. I hope this kind of new dynamic works out a little better. I'm going to try to put some graphics and images, maybe one image. Don't know. Maybe some music. But yeah, thank you guys. This is 70 Severance signing out.